Yesterday we talked about the Oregon Ducks missing out on number one quarterback in the class, Jared Curtis, re-upping his commitment with the Georgia Bulldogs. However, it does appear that the Ducks could end up landing the number one and number two prospects overall in the class.
Yeah, it's going to be – we mentioned this yesterday when we were talking about Curtis, but Curtis is trying to sway Jackson Cantwell, who's down to Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, and I think somebody else is in there for him. Maybe it's Miami for his recruitment. But look, he is the number one recruit in the country. He has said in the past that his favorite coach that he has been recruited by so far is Dan Lanning, because they're both from Missouri guys. He said, great guy, Missouri guy, like him. Yeah, it's Oregon, Georgia, Miami, and Ohio State. But it's going to be real hard when you have a Georgia lean, the number one quarterback in the country, just committed there, and they're one of your finalists as well. And Curtis is going to Georgia this weekend, where Cantwell will be on his trip. And oh, by the way, they get the last impression before he commits next Monday. So it's all trending towards Cantwell going to Georgia. But Cantwell has also been a guy who's tweeted at the number two prospect in the country, who's also a left tackle, Emmanuel Iheanacho.
Iheanacho, yeah.
And he's from Maryland, and saying,
he's a
hey,
big old boy.
He is 6'6", 345 pounds.
As a senior.
He's a junior.
I'm sorry, going into his
He's a junior in high school,
yeah.
And he's 6'6", 345 pounds. Steve Wiltfong from On3 has predicted Iheanacho go to Oregon. He's predicted Oregon. In this one, Will Stein, Alik Terry, the offensive coordinator and O-line coach, visited him in Maryland, and things are trending in that direction. So, look, this is the thing with recruiting. I know that people always get all hot and bothered over recruiting rankings and all those sorts of things. Cantwell still in play, though I feel like it's kind of a long shot when you think of everything that's at play there. But when you get the number two prospect in the country, who's also a left tackle, that would be quite the boost for Oregon in their recruitment, in the recruiting class coming into this season.
Couple things here. One, Kirby Smart still got it.
Dude.
Still got it.
Unbelievable.
11-3 last year, and that's the down season.
Yeah.
Georgia's not going anywhere.
When your quarterback's arm falls off in the college football playoff.
Yeah, and then his brains were falling out before that too. But he was good enough.
Yeah.
He was good enough, that's for sure. Look, Georgia's they're not gonna run what they were 3-4 years ago, where they're 2 and 3 deep.
Yeah.
At some positions where you literally had backups that were NFL caliber players a year later. Like, it's kind of terrifying to think about. I don't think that's going to continue to happen for not just Georgia, but any team in the country. That's just the proliferation of talent the diaspora, as it will. It is going everywhere now as the money is out there and guys are getting opportunities.
Recruiting's crazy, man.
It is. And look, there are. It feels like there are more upsets, quote unquote, in recruiting outside of the top 40, 50 players in the country. When you take a look at the ESPN 300 or the 500 or any of the bigger pools, you're seeing guys going to Tulane. You're seeing guys going to Mississippi State. You're seeing guys going to smaller West Virginia and top level recruits, because they look around and it's not just the money. Like we always talk about, it's relationships. But the staggering majority of these guys are never, ever, ever going to play in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you can get a couple $100,000 or $1 million,
you'll go get it
to go play a sport and be a starter, man. It forces this stuff to kind of go out and around, and it's making so many programs adjust. And I think you're seeing Georgia finally. They're like a I don't want to say Titanic sank, but they're like one of the brand new cruise ships. They ain't steering that quick. It's a big machine. They got to kind of turn and orient.
Big turn.
You got to start at about 2 miles out of port so you can kind of angle it in there.
Yeah, but you know what is never going to change? Fans just overreacting to high school recruits and the way it goes. And
the number of 3-stars that end up being absolute dudes, because development rates are different.
Well, yes, and those guys are great to see, but the fans that overreact to recruiting, stars do matter, man.
Oh, yeah.
If you look at the profiles of national champions, if you look at the profiles of draft picks,
Oh, and Bart
they
two is
are
going in
all
depth with this stuff.
5- and 4-star recruits littered across the board because there's fewer of them. Their hit rate is
significantly
higher.
higher.
It matters, man. And then when it comes to depth on your roster, like the most unfair era of college football is when Nick Saban had 5 stars as third stringers across the board.
Yeah.
You know, and they were just hoarding all of them because they couldn't transfer anywhere. They couldn't get NIL anywhere else. And so it was, all right, we're going to go to the best coach and the best program at the time. You know, USC had that with Pete Carroll for a time. Miami had it. It has made the landscape a lot more palatable. Like Iheanacho, who is a top recruit in the country, Maryland is on his short list, and 24/7 had a prediction that he would go to Maryland. Now, that is cooling, and it seems like it's more Oregon or Penn State with Maryland in there. It's still playing a factor, but you know what? If
It's still there.
If they're going to get their money together and they're going to say, we need one guy in this class that we're going to have as our big ticket item, it's going to be the guy who's from Maryland, and they're in play here. Like, that I think is good for the sport of college football.
I think it's tremendous.
And there's going to be more teams that have an opportunity to win a national title because at the non-Power 5 schools, it will be those teams that are able to keep their guys around for 5 years. Now, the hardest part for them is that anytime there's a sign of a player who is good,
gonna pop,
the vultures are circling your program, and the tampering is ridiculous.
You got to keep your Ashton
Nick
Genties
Saban
around.
did it in back-to-back drafts. We didn't even talk about this. Nick Saban talked about a guy, we tried to get him out, 2 times. And it's like, Nick, he never entered the portal.
Yeah. The first time was with Gunyon Mitchell, and then it was
back-to-back years.
It was a linebacker, was it?
Yeah. I can't remember who it was, but he's like, we tried to get him in. We tried to get him out of the portal. It's like, he was never in.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Which means you were talking to him or his people before he ever indicated, which is like talking about the things with Urban Meyer, things you're not allowed to do in NCAA. It's like, that's where it's like, come on.
I've talked to friends of mine that are coaches at the FBS level, and they're like, you would be stunned at what it's like with your roster and how people are just coming in, and he goes,
it's brazen.
But what they always say is just like, it is what it is right now. Yeah. And either you are going to go and take the next step to keep your guys on roster, or you are going to say, all right, he's gone. Where are we going to find our next guy? Like that's kind of thing. I know coaches that spent literally Christmas trying to hold on to their players. Like, it's supposed to be like the one day you get with your family as coaches, but you're having these conversations being like, hey, we need you to stay. And it's a trickle down effect, and it goes like all the way to like the D3 and NAIA levels all the way up to the FBS, because if a Power 2 conference team goes and takes a kid from a non-Power 5 team, the non-Power 5 is going to the FCS. The FCS goes down to D2. D2 goes down to D3 NAIA. Sometimes there are guys that the non-Power 5 schools are going to the D2 and D3 NAIA, and just like, that guy's a 2-time All-American. We would like him. And they go and they try to pull that guy out, and it's like, holy crap, the trickle-down effect it's hard for everybody right now. And so until they get some guardrails up, the good coaches in the stable programs, they're saying, this is the nature of the business right now, and you either will adapt or you're going to die, because your roster is going to get pillaged and you're going to be left with nothing. But that's kind of the nature of the beast right now, and it's ugly. It is ugly. I do not, in any way, shape, or form, I would not want to be a Division I college football coach.
Dealing with all that.
Right now, no. The guys that are doing it and doing it at a high level, they are a special breed, man. They really are, because
that's why they stand out.
It takes a lot of work, man. You're never off.